Hello and good afternoon, everybody. What we're going to be having a look at in today's video is the difference between implicit and explicit language and how that affects the meaning of texts. So we're going to start just by having a look at what it actually means. What does the word implicit mean? Implicit is a meaning that is suggested or hinted at, but isn't actually written in the words that we're reading. For example, as you can see on the screen here, it says, if we were to be explicit, if we were to be obvious and clear, we would say she is angry. And we, as a listener, as a reader, we understand exactly what is it meant by this. If we were to be implicit, we would say something like, she slammed the door and didn't say a word. And we understand that even though we are not being told that she was angry, we understand that that behaviour shows somebody who is displaying angry behaviour. My favourite example is always, rather than saying explicitly, the weather was hot, I would say, John was sweating, because that's an obvious example of somebody who is experiencing hot weather. We're thinking about, like, how does the body react? What can we say that suggests the information without it being obvious? So we're not always looking at the direct translation of words, the direct meaning of them. We're looking at the whole of the sentence and what we understand from reading it. So why do writers use implicit language? Well, it makes it more realistic. It creates an emotional depth. It makes us, as the reader, feel something, and as such, it engages us. It makes us, if we feel something, the chances are that we will engage better with both the piece that we're reading and, we engage with things better if we have some sort of emotional connection. As you can see here, we've got a lovely little quote. It says, reading between the lines isn't a trick, it's a skill. So it is something that we can learn and we can understand, even if we don't understand it straight away. So, some clues. This is how we can find the implicit meaning. So there are things like context clues. If we look at not just the particular sentence or phrase that we're reading, but the ones leading up to it and the ones after it as well. We need to have a think about the word choice and the tone that the writer is using, looking at body language and action, and also what's missing, because that can be a really good indicator of the message that the writer is trying to give. So rather than looking for what is there, we are able to have a look at what isn't. Now, in order to explain that, if we read this text, read the sentence, it says, he handed her the gift, avoiding her eyes. She took it, hesitated, and then placed it on the table without opening it. So what can we understand from that? So we can read the obvious, he gave her a gift, she took it. But what do we understand about their emotions at that time based on what it describes about their body language? So he is giving her a gift but not making eye contact. She is taking it, she waits, and then she puts it on the table. She doesn't open it. So again, what does that tell us about their emotions? Well, we could infer that perhaps she is uncomfortable. Maybe there's tension because there's no eye contact, there's no smiling, there's no dialogue or talking. So again, we can look for what isn't there as much as what is included. And something is left unsaid. So yes, we could understand that she might be uncomfortable, there's tension, he may be giving her something that she doesn't want. It may be a case of she could even potentially be scared. There's a lot that we can infer, a lot we can understand from this example without the information being given to us directly. If we have a look at this one, it says she glanced at her phone, sighed and shoved it back into her bag without replying. She glanced at her phone, put it back. Okay, so what's implied? Okay, so she could be avoiding someone. She could be frustrated or upset. Or she's received a message that isn't welcome, that she didn't want to receive. My first thoughts when I see she glanced at her phone, sighed and put it into her bag, I think she's waiting for a message that hasn't come through. Or she has received a message that she's unhappy with. So again, we can interpret this in a number of ways. And then finally, our third example. "Oh, you're here," he said, without looking up from his book. Okay, so he's been relatively ignorant in this case. So if he says, "Oh, you're here," but he does not make eye contact with the person who is trying to speak to them, what does this suggest? He's not excited to see the person. He may be annoyed or disinterested, and there's tension or potentially a lack of enthusiasm. There's a combination of things, again, that we could work out from reading this. So that's what implicit language is. It's a suggestion of a feeling, of behaviour that is not directly or clearly stated. But as we read the whole piece, we can understand this even if it's not obvious. So that's it. Have a look next time you're reading any piece of text and see if you can work out if there are any examples of implicit language being used. You may find it helpful, especially if you're reading anything like a novel or any kind of book that gives you that includes descriptive writing. So anything that's entertaining, a novel, a story, have a look through and you should be able to identify some implicit language. Thank you very much, everybody. See you in the next one.